Recording in progress.
How you doing, man? We are good to go. We're live. How's it? How's everything been going for you?
Everything's good, man. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, no, thank you. So today, for all the listeners out there in YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, the whole podcast land, today we have a buddy of mine that I've known for quite a long time. His name is Slider Jesus. And the reason why his name is Slider Jesus is because he's so popular, he has earned himself the right to say he has some stalkers. So we're going to keep a couple things loose, but for all intents and purposes, this is Slider Jesus. If you Google him, he will pop up. So I was hoping that we could get into a conversation. Both of us kind of went down the same path at one point in time, it sounds like. And so I wanted to see if that assumption was correct and see if we can't kind of pick up where we left off around junior year of high school when our stories kind of like split ways. So, yeah, how you been? And what have you been doing since junior year of high school about 20 years ago? No, not that's way too long. Yeah, fuck. 20 years
Yeah.
ago. Jesus Christ, I didn't think I was ever going to say that. Yeah, all right. Well, there you go. 20 years, man.
My God. Way to set the mood, man.
I know, right? But we're still keeping it young for our generation, so don't worry about it.
Yeah, trying the best we can.
Yeah. So, yeah, what's been going on, man? You are an internet sensation. You travel all over the country doing haunted houses and some other like things that I'm not 100% sure on exactly what you're doing. It seems like you're doing a lot. So let's just get into it right now. And yeah, what you been up to, man?
Oh God, I mean, where do you want me to start? Literally after high school,
Yeah, so let's set the mood with you and I met by being mall rats, pretty much just hanging out in parking lots, trying to see if anybody can buy us beer, bumming cigarettes from the older guys, and seeing if anybody can go to Speedway for us. And from there, I dropped out of high school, moved down to Ohio, and decided that I was going to try to do things my way. That did not work out, so I've since had to find other ways of doing things. And yeah, so what did you choose to do after high school?
God, that's such a long time ago, and such a lot went on that time. Oh God, I graduated, but in the meantime, there was just, like you said, mall rat and drinking and partying. I think roughly like freshman, actually, I want to say, it's kind of when I discovered booze, and
Okay.
I was kind of like this awkward kid. You know what I mean? Like I didn't really fit in with any type of group, and like I was a hell of a wrestler, but
You were a
like I
man
wasn't.
amongst men, though. I gotta say that. You, yeah, 'cause you had the big truck. You had,
Oh yeah,
boots.
yeah.
Yeah, like, and everybody else was trying to fit in and wear Abercrombie, and you were doing your own thing.
Yeah. No, I remember that distinctly. I did not want to fit in. And that's just because I couldn't. Like there wasn't one group I just really wanted to be associated with.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean the small town that me and you grew up in, there wasn't a lot of options. There wasn't a lot of things to eat. Yeah, options is the best word.
Yeah.
So yeah, basically just wow, to keep it short, directly after high school, I tried to go to a college, MCTI, and that was in Michigan as well. And I went there and I boozed my way right out of it, basically. How do you drink your way out of a college? You know what I mean? But I did.
Wait, were
And
you at Michigan Tech?
yeah,
Oh, yeah,
MCTI.
no, yeah, it's 10 to 1, male to female up there. So all you have to do is drink. Yeah,
Yeah.
I went to school at Northern, and so it was only a couple hours
Okay.
away. Yeah.
Sure. Sure. So yeah, that led me down a path, and then I discovered I liked myself better when I drank for whatever reason, and that was kind of the tip of the iceberg for me, the whole my attraction to alcohol. And then I came back and got a roofing job, and I hung out with a bunch of older people, and they all
Mhm.
took me to bars, and they, the hangover started kicking in about that time. So that led to painkillers because now I can drink all night and then feel good in the morning. And
Mhm.
that kind of spiraled out of control. And that was just a never ending process. Then eventually, I don't know how, but I got a job at Ford Motor Company. And I thought that was going to be the fix to all the problems that I was starting to come up with because I was starting to get arrested and problems with the law. And that just made it worse. So I spent almost 10 years of my life at a factory, just living like a rock star, making way too much money and partying way too hard. And one drug became another drug, became another drug. So through that whole thing, I ended up going to 5 different rehabs and 3 different halfway houses. And they eventually fired me because I was just too much. Getting fired from the UAW is actually a very hard thing to do, but they actually fired me twice.
Jesus, bro.
Yeah. So, I mean, I was that out of hand. I was that reckless, and I don't blame them. I really was. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was not a good person. So, then after that, some odds and ends jobs and social media. No, then joined in. I joined the haunted house community roughly 7 years ago now, and I got sober 8 years ago, and that was actually when I learned I was going to be a father. Um, I decided that was the last time I was gonna do it. I entered rehab for the last time,
Mhm.
and that was it. I stayed uh, in the program ever since. So here I am, 8 years later. And I have not had a drug or a drink since. And I still go around and try and tell people, hey, there's a life outside of it.
Yeah, yeah. Are you still attending meetings and sponsoring people and have a sponsor and everything?
I will admit I've slowed down on that. My life has become kind of a whirlwind.
Mhm.
So I have slowed down on that a bit, but I will never forget where to go when I need it. And I do need it. I will never be cured of this. So, like, yes, I still attend meetings. I don't sponsor anybody currently. I have, but like a few of them didn't work out and they died. So that really left a sour taste in my mouth, and really, like, I was hard on myself about stuff like that. So I'm not so much active with that, but yeah, I consider myself a program person
Nice.
still. Yes.
Yeah, so just to kind of bring some mirroring into this, I also went to rehab. I have not yet had the privilege of going that many times. I've only gone once. Um, but I like to think that I wasted all of my failed attempts by myself. There were times to where I would just be like, all right, well, pretty much the whole last year of my use or using, it was every night was this is the last night. This is the last night.
Mhm.
And then it just never fucking showed up. Every morning it was like, all right, I got to walk up, get some liquor. I got to get some weed in me and get some painkillers before noon so that way I can function. And what I decided to do is just say, fuck it. Like I had nowhere to go. My own mother was kicking me out and she had every right to. I was a terror and I was
Sure.
just a failure in my 30s at life. And just decided that I needed to fix some shit. And so I checked in on my own, did the transitional thing, and I couldn't stand transitional, so I moved out a little sooner than I should. But now I find myself having to get surgery this week, and I know I'm going to have painkillers starting Wednesday. That's like the day that they're cutting my spine open. And so that is like a terrifying thing for me of like actively walking back into that. Like I know I'm going back into that dark space or at least I'm going to know where the door is, you know? And so I've definitely needed to go back and hit some meetings. And you're right in saying that you know where you can find it because the help is always there, which is an amazing thing. You know, those meetings always exist. They're never gone, and they're on Zoom and everything now. So you can get help pretty much anywhere. But let's kind of back up a little bit. And when would you say that your drinking and drug use was at like its all-time high? Like, what did that look like for you on like a normal
Oh,
Tuesday?
God, for one, I wouldn't know if it was Tuesday or Saturday. Um, Wake up, hope I left myself some dope, and because eventually I got to hard drugs, the drugs you need
Mhm.
needles for.
Yep.
Um, so yeah, try and score, and if I couldn't score, I wasn't going into work. And if I scored, I went into work and I was useless. But by the time work was over, I'm trying to score again. And by the way, I'm homeless. I'm living out of my truck right now. And you start to calculate how many days has it been since I ate. And then you start thinking, well, can I spare a few dollars for like, double cheeseburger? And usually the answer is no to that. Um, just sadness and alone.
Yeah.
That would be the ideal at my rock bottom, just alone.
Yeah. It's a
And
very dark hole down there.
oh,
Did
it's so
you
funny.
oh
Go
go
ahead.
ahead.
No, I was
No.
just people refer to it as partying, and they still try and put some glamour to it, even when they know like you're about to die. Um, I had two unsuccessful um, what are the overdoses? So like I came back obviously, but like he,
Were they
even
kill
at that
packs?
point, what's that?
Were you trying to run a kill pack to just end it, or was it like you
No,
just
no,
want?
no. Just unsuccessful as in like it didn't work. Like no, not at all.
Oh.
Just I OD'd. You know what I mean? And
Oh,
I was
okay. Yeah,
hanging
yeah.
I was hanging around with the people like that are telling me like if you die here, we're gonna put you in a dumpster. Like so like in the
Jesus.
middle in the middle of Chicago. You know what I mean? I had no business being in those neighborhoods, but that's where I was. So, um, but yeah,
Wait, wait, wait.
that was
You were in what part of Chicago?
South Side.
Oh, okay. That's what I was thinking because that's where all the shit happens. You don't even
Yep.
look like you should be allowed to go to the south side of Chicago.
No, no, I don't belong there. I have no
No.
business there. I'm not saying anything bad against Chicago, but there are certain neighborhoods.
Mhm.
Let's face it, somebody like me doesn't go, and somebody like me was living there basically. You know what I mean? So it's there if you want to find it.
Yeah. Yeah. South side of Chicago is no fucking joke. So I've crept the line of south side Chicago and just kind of like cruising down my bike and you see nothing. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's just these houses and apartment buildings that look abandoned, but they're not. The cars don't really have license plates on them. You don't need them. The firework game, gunshot firework, that you can play that at noon. You know, like that's all day over there. So for you to end up in South Side of Chicago, you were deep in some shit, man. How did you get out of that spot, out of that place anyway, out of South Side Chicago?
I um God, where was it? By this time I was in and out of rehab, so I'd made a few connections and a few halfway houses I knew. Eventually I just went to one of them and I was like, listen, I am fucking done. I am weak as a kitten. Like I'm on my deathbed and I just learned I'm gonna be a father. So I help. And I remember saying that too, like help,
Yeah.
SOS, game over.
Yeah, there's a lot of strength in that word help. I've noticed like if I'm having like some issues even just on the phone, just simply asking for help, it kind of
Sure.
like humanizes the problem and it makes it, you know, like a me and you situation. Can you help me? And yeah, it's also a very sad place to be in, you know, when you have to like suck your ego up and just
Well,
admit that you need help and then ask for it. So I'm proud of you for doing that. That's
thank
hard to do, man. It's very hard to do. Um, Now with your kid, how does that play a factor into everything? With like, are you involved in his life, her life?
It's a little boy, yeah. I am, um, as much as I can be. That's somewhat of a bit of a longer story. I'd care not to go
Mhm.
into, but yes, he's a wonderful little boy, and very glad to call him mine.
Yeah, no, that's awesome, man. That's always
Thank
something
you.
really good to have.
Yeah.
All right, so let's speed this up a little bit since it kind of seems like we went down the same path. I'm almost betting we were at the same school at one point because when I was at Northern, I was in a fraternity, and we would literally rent buses from the or vans from the school and bring sororities up to Tech for Winterfest. And so we've
Wow.
probably been partying at the same school at the same time. It was around 2004, 2005 ish, right in that area.
It was kind of a blur, man. Honestly, it was a blur, and I was only there, I think, 9 months,
Yeah.
maybe eight. I can't remember, but I mean, it was just I wasn't there to learn. I
Mhm.
wasn't. I kept telling myself I'm young, and it is my right to do dumb things. Um, that didn't help me out at all. I just kept thinking I was going to grow out of this. You know, I'll straighten up. I'll quit drinking eventually. Um, but like that, obviously didn't work out the way I thought it was going to. But yeah, so my whole college experience, man, it was nothing to really speak of. A lot of dead brain cells.
Yeah. No, I'm right there with you. My Northern experience was pretty much I went to school because in high school I had like random groups of friends, like the mall rat guys and then like a couple people like in school and like, some hockey friends and stuff, but I never really felt like I fit in. And so I went to school 100% to be in a fraternity because I wanted
Ah,
to know what it was like to have that family, that camaraderie, like that brotherhood type thing. And so that's the only reason why I went. So when I showed up to Northern, I instantly wanted to go to all the Rush events and hit the parties. Because
mm-hmm.
in Marquette, like there's bars and house parties. And so I needed to be able to get into the house parties. So that was my way in. And I think I only made it 2 years, something like that. And then they like I had been kicked out for the second time. And they were like, you're not like even trying at this point, you know. And so like I would cheat on finals just to try to get through and everything, but it was just not going well. So all right, I want to get
Sure.
into, so we kind of covered going through college, and clearly we could go on for days about using and stories and all that stuff, and all of that to me just kind of seems like it's glamorizing it a little bit, especially when a lot of my listeners have been in that dark space. I've been in that dark space, so we don't really need to talk about it too much. It seems like one of the tools that you've been able to utilize, um, probably to help you stay sober, is social media. And with your haunting and everything like that, and you're not even the same person that I knew 20 years ago. You have a completely different name. You have matured beyond, the guy that I knew. You are now a full-fledged man. How did you become Slider Jesus?
Oh man.
Where did this even come from? Like it tracks. Trust me. Like the truck that you had in high school and the stuff that you're doing
Mhm.
now, it tracks. It looks like you're doing what you were set to do. But how do you find that path and the balls to be able to actually do it?
That's an odd story, and that actually relates to the last topic we were on. So I'd like to combine those two, if you don't
Yeah,
mind.
definitely go for it.
Um, so early on in my recovery, my biggest fear in this, mind you, I go to like speaker meetings all the time and tell people this, especially at detox centers and kids that are just hopeless. You can see it in their eyes. They don't know what they're going to do with their lives now.
Yeah.
Um, I always try and preach to themselves. I give them a little bit about what I do now and tell them I had none of that when I was using. And when I got sober, I was so afraid. I was deathly afraid that my life was going to come to an end and I was going to turn into a giant square. And I was going to have a white picket fence and I was, going to have no fun at all. I was going to have to grow up and not have any fun at all. And little did I know, me getting sober led me into haunting. Haunting led me into social media. And here we are talking.
Yeah.
So I always give that message: when you sober up, your life is not over. It is just beginning.
Mm-hmm. Have you heard
So
that saying that you're as old as you are when you started using?
yes, I have.
Do
I
you
have.
feel like that?
I
Because
do.
I still feel like I'm 5 years past 16. Like I'm a 21-year-old kid mentally. That's how I feel.
I truly believe it. When I first got into the program, I thought and acted like a 19-year-old. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I totally agree with that statement. It's true. And still to this day, I'm still acting like I'm in my mid 20s. God, I'm pressing fucking 40.
Yeah. Dude, I'm 38.
Same.
Yeah. It it I thought by 40 I'd have shit figured out. And I'd be on like an escalator going up,
Yeah.
like things would be going well, and now I'm just it's all just the same shit. Like you just got to keep working and keep grinding. What does that work and grinding look like for you to get to where you are now? Like, because you can post 1,000 things and get two people to look at them, and you still got to be able to look yourself in the face and be like, I'm going to keep doing this and keep doing it and keep showing
Mhm,
up.
mhm.
How do you
That's
get the
happened.
confidence to do that?
Um, that is that's a good question on its own right there. I have been humiliated by myself to the world numerous times through drugs and alcohol, police records and what have you. I figured I didn't have a whole lot left to really be afraid of anymore. So I thought to myself, let's try this acting thing. Let's try the haunted house thing. And that I didn't have a lot of fear going into it because I did have some good mentors. The famous story, and I've said this countless times. Everybody always asks, "How'd you get into this sliding thing?" Um, Me and my girlfriend, we attended a haunted house. Um, a year before I gotten into haunting, and I thought to myself, like, I'm just gonna watch her get spooked. I'm a grown man. I'm not going to be afraid of anything. And little did I know, we purchased our tickets, walked in, and within 5 minutes, the slider came up out of nowhere behind me, scared the living shit out of me. And it's true. It's true. I jumped and
Did you scream like a little girl? If you didn't,
I
just
may
lie.
have.
Yeah.
I may
Okay.
have. It
Yeah. I
may
want
be
to
a
say
true
you
story.
did. Yeah.
We're just going to say I did.
Yeah. You definitely did. Yeah.
Probably. Probably definitely did. But anyways, for the rest of that night, that was all I could think about is what the hell was that? I had never seen anything like that. And how do I do that for a living? And that is where my curiosity peaked. And then next year, I went to that same haunted house before October, knocked on their door. I said, "Hey, your one guy got me pretty good. That seems like fun. Can I try haunt acting?" And they're like, "Yeah, man, come on, come on." So they welcomed me in, and I was actually just talking about this today on another live. I did my first year in Chainsaw Alley, so that was a lot of fun. And my second year, um, all year long, I had like practice sliding, this thing I didn't even know about, but I was just doing it at the haunt while helping build. And the second year, they said, "Okay, we'll try you out as a slider in our queue line." And the rest is kind of history as far as that's how it's okay. Damn it. So that's how I got into sliding. Now, how I got into the Sparks is a whole different game because nobody had done that until I basically pioneered that.
So let's slow
Some
down
people,
just for a quick second.
Sure.
Explain sliding and what sparking is, just so
Okay.
people are kind of like caught up on everything.
I'm sorry. I'm so used to talking to haunters day in, day out, and everybody knows a slider. Sorry. It's not a White Castle burger.
Damn.
Yeah. Sliding is a haunted house technique. We wear specialized knee pads, gloves, and boots, and you run and at a customer and drop down to your knees and slide past them. And if you do it successfully, they don't see you until like you're right there by their feet. Most people are afraid of things below them or above them, so that's where the sliders kind of come in.
Okay.
The very, very, you can look up any haunt sliding online and get examples of it, but it's a very, very um, awesome technique at a haunted house. And I somehow excelled at it at the ripe old age of like 30. So, like, I got into the game way too late for that, mind you.
I feel like you're just beating the shit out of your body.
Oh my God, it's bad, man. It's terrible. It's terrible, but it's worth it. I mean, I still enjoy it, but
Yeah.
most nights I can't move. There's been nights where I've had to like kind of be in a wheelchair for a while after a show because I just can't move anymore. Every year I usually break a bone. So, yeah, it's not for the faint of heart. Let's just
Yeah.
say that. But
So it sounds like, so from an outsider's perspective, I won't go to haunted houses. When I was in high school and even before that, like my entire life, the house that I lived at on Riverside, that was my prison. If I didn't have to fight twice a week, it was a good week. I was just constantly getting fucking mauled, woke up in the morning with baseball bats. Like shit was just violent. And so for me to actively put myself in one of those situations, like I've tried stabbing people before, actively tried to end people, and I always have a knife on me. I would be terrified of freaking out and grabbing something in response. I know you've probably heard that a million times. Does that ever actually happen? Because yeah,
oh,
yeah, go with that.
yeah, it does. Happens quite often. I'll say this. What you just said, a lot of people say similar things. They say, I won't go to a haunted house because I know I have a fight or flight reflex. And I know I'll catch a case if I go. Um, so that's good. If you understand your limits, don't come because I don't want to get hit in the face.
Yeah,
It's happened before. It's happened quite a few times. More often than not, I get shoved or kicked. Um, if I get punched, it's purely out of reflex. It's not
yeah,
people that we have a thing where, you know, if they wind up, it's intentional. If it's from their chest, it's unintentional. They don't mean to do it. They're just afraid. So it does happen. I mean, I've caught in it pretty good. I quite a few times actually. Yeah,
yeah,
it
yeah.
does happen.
So I guess another thing that I've like, so going from the outsider's perspective, is I'll see haunted houses pop up only around Halloween, you know, and only like one in like right now I'm in Ann Arbor, so there's one like down in Toledo, it's a pretty big one, and then like a couple others like surrounding like smaller towns.
Mhm.
I had no idea that there's like a community of haunting
Oh,
and that this is something that you can do full time or year round. Can you kind of like walk through your first experience of being like introduced into, you know, that community?
my God. Oh, that's a can of worms, and I love it. Yes. Earlier in the conversation, when I said I didn't quite fit in anywhere, I fell in with haunting. I fell in with haunters. They think like me. They act like me. It is literally a family community. It is a group of outcasts. Every haunter that I know was an outcast. They didn't get along with their, you know, anybody in school. They didn't get along with their friends. Their family didn't understand them. So haunting is a way to let your freak flag fly, you know, and be yourself. I am a grown ass man that dresses up with makeup on and scares people. Most people would think that's odd, but I fell in love with it, and it's really has been kind of a lifesaver to me because it does give me that reason to keep going and not pick up a drink. Um, is
Is
also go ahead. What?
is partying big in the haunting community? Like, are you an outsider of the outsiders?
uh, I'll say this lightly. Yes, it is a part of it. It is. People do indulge. Sometimes recklessly, sometimes responsibly. Um, but yes, I thankfully have had enough time. I have phone numbers on the ready if I need them, so I am able to assist when people are too inebriated, um, and I will gladly do that, and I have done that, and I will continue to do that. Help out if there is an issue at a party or a gathering of sorts. I know when to leave, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I always have an exit, you know,
Yep.
so that's not too big of an issue.
Nice. So with you finally finding your thing, you finally found your people, something that makes you happy. You're obviously amazing at it. Now it's time for you to create a character of your own. And I'm not sure if Slider Jesus is your first character or not, but how do you go about inventing these characters? Because there's no way I could put on your costume, well, besides these shoulders, but put your shit on and be you. So, but I also don't see you being that person without that stuff. So it's like, do you
Yeah.
kind of transform into this character, and what are you bringing from your real life into this character of yours?
Oh, that is a character building um explanation, I believe, and I won't go too far into it. I've
Okay.
actually taught classes on character building, and to keep it short, yes, I was trained by the owner of my first haunted house to it's basically an exaggeration of your real self. So I went with that. I went with the whole bull in a china shop style. I went with a very loud, but also very timid. So you take these factors and you just like blow them up per se. And as far as costume goes, I find it easier to come up with three different three different inspirations. And you could do more, I suppose, but you take a little bit from each and not copy them by any means, but you just take some inspiration. You take a little bit of this, you take a little bit of that, and you kind of morph them all together a little bit and use them in different fashions. And then you kind of name your character. Actually, I believe you don't name your character. I believe somebody else names your character because you were not able to choose your name when you were born. Neither was I. Somebody else gave you that name and you're stuck with it. So I believe other people should give your haunt character a name, but that's just me. Um, Furthermore, to add a little bit to that, I had actually wanted to do a drunken Santa for a Christmas haunt event, and I was talked out of that by a friend of mine because he said, "I'm afraid you will get in that headspace and you won't be able to come out."
That's a good friend.
Right?
Yeah.
Um, there is a certain uh, method acting can be a monster.
Hmm.
You get there and you stay there. And sometimes it is hard to pull away from that. We've all heard about people, Jim Carrey, all the Daniel Day-Lewis, all these people that get in character and stay in character for the entire duration of the filming.
Yeah. There's a
And
documentary on Jim Carrey and him
yeah,
doing that. That was fucking amazing. I don't that was one of the better documentaries that I've seen, just how deep he got into it. Do you go
sure.
that deep with your character? Like, are
I do.
you who you are, or are you Slider Jesus 100% when you're in it?
It's difficult. It's difficult. Like I find it easier to explain. Um, I the character is a ship in a storm, and I'm the captain trying to direct it. Sometimes it kind of goes where I want. Sometimes it takes a little longer, but at the end I can direct it. But you do get in that headspace where you don't. If something like an emergency happens, sometimes it does take me a double snap to kind of, hey, wait, like wake the fuck up. So
Yeah.
it all depends on your level of what you're going for, I
Yeah.
suppose.
Yeah.
But
So how do you go from, I mean, I'm just going to be blunt. How do you go from like a drunken junkie? And I say that in all love because I've been in the same spot. So, I can say it. Um, how do you go from that to like this social media, like explosion? Like, I'll just be scrolling through like Facebook, your shit pops up and it'll be like 2,500 viewers live. For Facebook, that's a lot, And then from my perspective, don't take this the wrong way, but you're a dude that scares the shit out of people. And from like, I only knew of haunted houses like just around October, And so I'm like, oh, this dude's scaring the shit out of people. But yet thousands of people are tuning in every day to watch you, to listen to your story, to hear you talk. And it's amazing. I was watching you one time when you were plowing, um, just plowing snow, but like the way that you can captivate an audience, like you have a story there. How did that whole thing get started?
I don't. I seriously have no idea, man. When I figure that out, I'll let you know because it's been a wild ride. Um, Throughout my ventures, I've tried to stay true to my core and be humble and be kind. I know that's basic, but I have seen too many creators fall down the path of their ego gets a hold of them and they're too good for somebody. And more than likely, that's the demise of their, you know, career because of that.
Mhm.
I will take the time out to answer fans. I will talk to people. I've said this many times. If somebody is having a rough time with something, drugs and alcohol related, I said, I will tell them, message me directly and I will point you in the right direction. I am here to help people. It's more than just entertainment, you know. I really do mean well for the world. Unfortunately, the world, you know, that's a whole different story. But
Yeah.
um, where was I going? Okay. Eh, To back up add to some of that too about the social media stuff. Not a lot of people either remember or know this, but for the first year on social media, people laughed at me. That's all they did. I
Mhm.
was like cringeworthy, you know. People were just sharing my stuff to other sites just to trash talk, and like people were not fond of me at all, and they love to laugh at me if that makes any sense. But I pursued, and just one day at a time, keep making this content because I enjoy making the content. And sooner or later, it just kind of caught on, and also, I don't know what happened along the way. I did my absolute best to be creepy, scary, intimidating looking, like a monster, right?
Yeah.
I don't know what happened, but all of a sudden, just out of nowhere, it became a thirst trap. And I don't understand how that happened. Obviously now I kind of understand a little bit more behind it and algorithms and you know,
Yeah.
so I do utilize it now, but it's like it didn't start out to be that way. So, but it's still fun to me to do either way. So I still go with it.
Yeah, because
So
even I started this podcast like a year and a half ago, like we were talking about earlier on the phone, when I could barely walk. So I was on this cancer med, and my limbs started to not work. All four like legs and arms just stopped like functioning. It almost it was like this neuropathy type thing going on. And so the doctors were like, "Oh, well, it's definitely this medicine that you're on. You know, we got to get you off of this." And then it just kept getting worse. So I had to fly out to the Mayo Clinic, and I just wanted to not feel alone, you know, and kind of feel like there's somebody else out there going through something. But most importantly, how they got out of it and how they were able to fight and continue to fight. And that's clearly something that you've been doing. And then also with your following, that's something that you kind of, you know, portray out there as well. So this was an amazing match for me to finally get you on here and have this conversation. But even in doing this for a year and a half, I still have trouble pointing the camera at myself and in talking and putting it out there, because I feel like I'm still that 16-year-old kid in high school, to where if I do something, if like we went to school at a time to where as if you tried to be different, you were made fun of. If you did not follow the social norm, if you didn't have on Abercrombie shirt that like said Abercrombie everywhere and had on like the airs and, you know, like all the trends that we went through throughout all these years in school, you were made fun of, you were chastised. And I still carry that with me to this day of like, before I put posts, somebody from high school pop up in my head and be like, I bet that guy's going to look at it and think that I'm still a loser. You know, how did you have any of that, or were you able to push all that away?
I still do. I still do. Absolutely. Every time before I click load or post, I think to myself, who is going to see this? You know what I mean? I'm not going to name names, but some of the bullies that bullied me in high school, which is oddly enough, I'm friends with them now. Like most of them, it's strange, I know. But like my family's going to see this, and like people, like what if like my old teachers, a few of them do
Yeah.
follow me actually. They're going to see this. What are they going to think of me? And then I think to myself, hopefully they see I'm doing what I love to do. And if they want to judge me for that, so be it. I'm making a living doing it. So
Yeah. No, and that's fucking awesome that you've been able to find your path and do it your way and find your people, because I've been searching forever for that and still have not found it. I found pockets here and there, you know, temporary pockets or whatever, but it's nothing that's lasted, especially like a 7 to 8 year run. Um, so where do you go next? Like, what is next for Slider Jesus? I cannot imagine you're anywhere near being done. You know, you're not even so, especially with the drive that you have, and this is your thing, so you can't let it go. What's next?
it's funny you say that. I'm a big ad promoter of if you want something bad enough, you will get it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I tell people that, you know, follow me. Like you said earlier, I come from a junkie, a literal junkie. And by the way, that was a nice way to put it. I've been called a lot worse than that.
Yeah.
Um, you go from that to what I have now. So if you want your dream, fucking chase it. You know what I mean? Like, go get it. It's there waiting for you. The next venture, I had not just, but like about 5 months ago, I was actually flown out to Hollywood and I was involved with a company, and we did a TikTok short. So 5 different episodes for TikTok, and then I didn't really know about this, but then a comic series came out about it,
I was
and
going to ask
now,
about that.
yeah, well, and then a video game's coming out, but video games take a long time to create these days. So, um, but so there's that. I'm also actually pressing for Dead by Daylight to get my character on that, which I think would be a lot of fun. Um, I've since hired a manager too, because I'm not good with emails. I'm not good with tech stuff. So I need somebody to kind of do all these things for me. But there's been tons of lead. I did a music video last year for State of Mind. Long story short, the video actually wasn't able to come out because of copyrights, which was very unfortunate. Um, but I don't really know. I know I'm not done. And year by year, I get to go to cooler, bigger, badder haunts all over the United States. And this year, no different. People are already kind of booking me out for October. It sounds strange, but they're already starting to ask, "Hey, what's your schedule looking like?" And I'm like, "Guys, I'm still recovering from October. Are you serious?" So I don't know, but I'll tell you this: I'm buckled up and ready.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to dig into the comic book a little bit more than I can get you out of here. I keep seeing that on social media. It looks amazing. Like it's not just some little kid making a comic book. This is a legit comic book. How much input do you have into the story and the character and the publication of it?
I don't know how much of that I can answer.
Okay.
Um, I'll say this: I have little to none, little to none say.
Okay.
I sign papers where hey, they are using me for this, and this, and I am okay with that. So there is another influencer, Michael Lee, who's involved with this, and he has 55 million followers. So
55 million?
yeah, on TikTok. Yeah, I know.
Jesus.
I know, right? I know. And I got to act with him for this little skit.
Yeah.
So that was pretty incredible. Um, but as far okay, so for the short and the comic, I'm already in both of those. As far as the video game goes, I don't know yet because they are launching the shorts and the comics first, and then seeing what happens. I guess I don't really know, and I don't know how much of that I can really talk about.
Yeah.
But I wish I
When
could
are
kind of
the
give you.
when are the comics coming out?
I believe they're out right now, actually.
Oh, nice.
Yes, and best believe my heart sunk when my manager sent me the interview on Forbes magazine where I mentioned, and I just like I absolutely just could. And then Hollywood Reporter and LA Times, they all did the same thing, and they all mentioned me. Um, they Fun fact: there's a photo that they used that my girlfriend took while we were there. So that was like she was so giddy about that too because she had taken like behind the scenes photo and they
Yeah.
actually used that. And I think in Hollywood Reporter, and she was like ecstatic over that, And like, how do you think I feel? Like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do with my hands right now. This is insane.
Yeah,
So,
it's this is crazy to hear because and I'm just going to be me. You're a junkie from a small town in Michigan. This is not supposed to
right,
happen to you.
right,
Like it's just not. Like guys like us, stuff like that does not happen. So the fact that it is happening, you're in a very positive place, you're doing great things with your life, and you're turning around trying to help people. I feel like it's very well earned and deserved.
thank you.
Um, yeah, no,
No,
I wish I would have known the comic was out, otherwise I would have already bought one.
oh, for sure, they're out, man. Go to the link in my Instagram. Um, Kind of wanted to capitalize on that a little bit too. You're right. I shouldn't be here right now. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
I should be dead in a ditch somewhere, to be honest. So I love spreading that to people. It doesn't matter where you come from this day and age. Social media is so powerful. You can get to where you want to go from where you're at. Um, it just goes to show too, like if you want it you will get it. I wanted this, you know what I mean? Like I
Yeah,
wanted it, I got laughed at, I got turned down, I got all for God's sakes, my first 2 3 years haunting, people would just laugh at me when I would try and scare them, like I was a joke at first. And I stuck with it because I wanted it. So I recommend that to anybody. I don't care where you're from, what you're doing. You can do what you want to do. You just have to go get it.
yeah. No, that's a great message. That's an amazing message to have, and I love the attitude of how positive you are. Because where we come from, it's not a very positive place. It's a very
No.
depressing town. It
Mm-hmm.
even has nicknames like a drain. Like you
Mm-hmm.
go there to have your soul sucked out. So for you to have escaped that place, escaped the prison you put yourself in, and grown into this amazing man who's creating a platform of positivity and helping people through scaring. I feel like it's one of the cooler stories that I've ever heard. It's not what I expected, you know. So thank you, honestly, for coming on and sharing your story. It's been a blessing to kind of have this show and to see where everybody's coming from and realizing that we all have problems and no one is perfect. Everybody's walking around with self doubt. Everybody's walking around with doubt from others, and it's just guys like you that can stand as a pillar and as a blowhorn to let others know that you can do what you want to do and just lead positive lives. So yeah, I think that's going to be it for this conversation. Get you out of here. But before I do, I need to make sure that everybody knows where they can find you, get your comic, search up your or check not search up, check out your content, and get you some more followers, and maybe even have some people come out for some haunts.
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you. So it's Slider Jesus all over the board. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. TikTok is actually Slider Jesus Part 2 because I had an account of 1.2 million that got banned. So yeah, that sucked. But you can find it that as far as the comic and the shorts, I put a link up in my beacons in all of my social medias, so that's available. The haunted house I currently work for and represent is Hell's Gate Haunted House, and that's in Lockport, Illinois. So anybody out there in the October times, come on by, come see me, come see the rest of the crew. Very talented people, very awesome haunted house. As far as off season goes, I will be traveling for off season events. I don't know where yet, but all over the United States. Follow me on my Instas and Facebooks for postings about all that crap.
Sweet. All right, man. This has been awesome. I've been wanting to do this for a minute and kind of catch up, and hopefully we can kind of keep catching up through as the time goes on, because you never know when you could use somebody who's been down the same road as you for any help or whatever. So all right, but yeah, that's going to be it, man. Seriously, thank you for coming on. This has been amazing. I've loved this conversation. Hopefully somebody out there can hear it if they needed to. And yeah, anything you want to say before we hit the big red button that says end?
No, you pretty much wrapped it up. I just want to say thank you. It has been a pleasure getting in touch with an old high school friend of mine. Gonna be honest, I never thought I'd see you again, to be honest, like most people,
yeah.
But then you just
I'm supposed
up.
to be dead too.
And then like, how about it, man? And look at us now, you know? So I just want to say,
oh yeah, go ahead.
No, that's fine. Continue, man. You had a thought.
Oh, to me, it's crazy that I'm here. Like, physically, I'm alive. I'm not, like, I've tried going down other roads. Like, I remember drinking so much that I would throw up on the way to go get more booze, to then throw it up after I drank it, to then have to keep fucking drinking it just to keep it in me so I could function. That's not including the drugs. That's not including the people that I've fucked over that want to beat my ass, the shitty situations I've been in, the horrible places, the people that I've stole from, the cars that I've driven while intoxicated. I should not be here. So when I call you a junkie from a small town, by no means is that being derogatory by at all. I've been down those roads. And I know you don't worry about it, but every now and then a Karen will fucking pop in and listen to this shit. I got to make sure that they know to shut the fuck up. But yeah, the fact that you've done all this and you've created your own platform, I want nothing but the best for you. So I'm definitely going to keep in touch, hit you up every now and then. And I'm excited to see where you can take this character, man. I truly am. And I hope the comic book does well, the shorts do well, and get your ass in a video game. And that would be awesome. I'm not going to lie. I would buy the shit. I would stand in line outside of GameStop to buy that game just so I could make your character do dumb shit.
Amen.
Yeah. So, all right, man, that's going to be it for today.
Okay.
Thanks for stopping by, and we will be talking soon.
Thank you very much, man. Take care.
Take it easy.